Robert Mugabe is facing his biggest political challenge in almost 2 decades as opposition to his authoritarian 37-year rule over Zimbabwe gathers strength around the vice-president he fired this week. Mugabe sacked his longtime ally Emmerson Mnangagwa on Monday for showing traits of disloyalty, abruptly removing a favorite to succeed the 93-year-old leader and boosting the likelihood of Grace Mugabe, the First Lady, becoming his next deputy and potential successor. A close ally said on Wednesday that Mnangagwa had fled assassins for a safe place and would arrive in neighboring South Africa later this week. Mnangagwa, who fought alongside Mugabe in a guerrilla war and went on to become a feared security chief, said he had been vilified beyond measure and was being hounded by minnows who have no liberation credentials. "I will return to Zimbabwe to lead you," Mnangagwa said in a statement. Chris Mavangwa, the chair of Zimbabwe's Association of War Veterans, told reporters in Johannesburg that Mnangagwa, 75, would lead a campaign to restore democracy in the former British colony. The war veterans, former combatants in the wars of the 1970s, have been a key support base for Mugabe. Mugabe supporters at his party headquarters on Wednesday photographed Jakasing Jikes and off-BGT images. Analysts said the threat to the president and those close to him was unprecedented because it came from within the ruling ZANU party. Mugabe has faced challenges from outside before, but never an internal challenge. "This time it is the machinery that has kept him in power that is now shuddering," said Piers Pigo, an analyst with the International Crisis Group in Johannesburg. Tensions were already rising in Zimbabwe amid a deteriorating economy and the vicious struggle around Mugabe's succession. The sacking of Mnangagwa appears to have settled that contest in favor of the First Lady, who is 52. Profile: Grace Mugabe is the 52-year-old First Lady of Zimbabwe. Born in South Africa, she married Robert Mugabe, 40 years her senior, in 1996. Initially struggling to emerge from the shadows of the president's popular first wife, Sally, who died in 1992, Mugabe appeared by her husband's side for official functions but rarely got involved in politics herself, focusing publicly on her charity work while gaining a reputation for legendary shopping expeditions. In 2009, a British photographer alleged that she punched him repeatedly in the face when he tried to take a picture of her in Hong Kong. She has since been implicated in several incidents outside Zimbabwe and Singapore, in Malaysia and most recently in South Africa, where she allegedly assaulted a model in August. The unveiling of Grace Mugabe as a potential successor to her husband began in 2014, when she became head of the ruling party's Women's League and a state propaganda machine began talking up her political acumen. Her path to power received an enormous boost on the 6th of November when her main rival, the vice-president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, was fired. The feud between Mugabe and Mnangagwa had been bitter. In October, she publicly denied poisoning him after he fell ill at a rally in August. Thank you for your feedback. Grace Mugabe is far from a popular figure in Zimbabwe. Her image has suffered after an alleged assault on a model she had found in the company of her sons in a luxury apartment in Johannesburg in September. Granted diplomatic immunity after the incident, Grace Mugabe was allowed to leave South Africa despite a police inquiry. She denies any wrongdoing. Reports of extravagant purchases, including property in South Africa and a Rolls-Royce, have also angered many Zimbabweans. Pictures of one of the First Lady's sons apparently pouring most of a bottle of champagne over a luxury worth tens of thousands of dollars in a nightclub were shared widely on social media this week. Mavangwa, the head of the War Veterans Group, said Grace Mugabe was a madwoman who had won power through a coup by marriage certificate. She is a psychotic case. Now she has obliged her senile and doting husband to leave power to her. The whole nation is outraged, he said. Zimbabwe's fired vice-president Emmerson Mnangagwa in Harare on the 1st of November. Photographs Vingaray Up until recently, Mnangagwa was tipped as Mugabe's likely successor, partly because of his support within the country's security establishment and among veterans of Zimbabwe's 1970s guerrilla war. Despite his alleged involvement in atrocities in the 1980s, Mnangagwa was also the preferred candidate of much of the international community, where he was seen as most likely to guarantee a stable transition and implement economic reforms. Some observers doubt the extent of support for the former vice-president, who is hated in parts of the country. But there is deep discontent, and a protest is planned later this month to demonstrate the strength of support for Mnangagwa, his allies say. Mavangwa ruled out trying to remove Mugabe by force and said war veterans would form a broad front with the opposition in elections next year. "We don't want to abuse the military to resolve a political problem. We don't want them to become the arbiter of political power," he said. The feud between Mnangagwa and Grace Mugabe has been bitter and public. Last month, the First Lady, who leads the Women's League of ZANU, publicly denied she was behind an alleged attempted poisoning of her rival. Political activists in Zimbabwe say they hope the firing of Mnangagwa will unite a fractured opposition, while splitting ZANU. The party is holding a special Congress set for mid-December, and elections are due next year. The Movement for Democratic Change (MDC) came close to winning power in 2000 and 2002, and won an election in 2008. ZANU won a poll in 2013 that was marred by allegations of widespread rigging. MDC activists said on Wednesday they were confident of winning any free and fair poll. Pigo, the analyst, said Mugabe's brinkmanship may have backfired, but he still has a lot of cards up his sleeve. Fears of the return of hyperinflation have led to panic buying and rocketing prices in Zimbabwe, while confidence in the parallel bond note currency, launched by the government nearly a year ago, has collapsed. Mnangagwa was appointed vice-president in 2014, taking over from Joyce Mujuri, who was axed after Grace Mugabe launched a campaign accusing her of plotting to topple the president.